Sure. Well, my eating disorder started pretty young. I was around 8 years old when I realized I was a little bit heavier than the other girls in my school. And it started out, I had a lot of anxiety about going to school. I started comparing myself to other people, like really, really young. And by the time I was 11, I had dropped a lot of weight and I felt really good about myself. I was told that I looked better, I was getting attention, and my whole life changed. And I took that and I kept going with it and I kept running with it. And throughout the years, up until I was, I think, 16, it kind of stayed I wasn't really diagnosed yet, but there was definitely a fear of food and a fear of being larger than what I was, than what I could be. I always felt bigger than what I was or what I should have been. So when I went to Rosewood, I had gotten to a really low point. I was so much sicker than I thought. I was terrified of food. Everything was organized, calculated, planned out. I was exercising. I would only buy children's clothing because I had some expectation of myself to maintain a body that was so small that I dropped out of school, I couldn't function, and it was such a low point for me, mainly because I think I pushed everybody out of my life, because everyone who was in my life, I couldn't engage with them because I had no more room in my head for other people. It was all about maintaining this body. I think I finally was really scared that I was going to die. And I was having a lot of lows, a lot of depression. And my parents had been trying to push me and get me into treatment. And I kept saying no, or I kept saying, give me a couple months, I have to be sicker. I have to, I can't be the biggest girl there. And I think finally one day I got on the computer by myself, and I was so terrified that if this kept going, I would die. And finally one night I went online, I found the treatment center, I called, and I told my parents in the morning that I was ready and I would go. And I didn't go, and I said I would do it by myself. And 2 weeks later I found myself even lower, worse spot, wasn't leaving the house anymore. And then finally I went, and I got on the plane, and I went, and I was there for 3.5 months. Definitely was connecting with other people again, because I hadn't even considered having a friendship or any acquaintances in a while. I had let everybody go, and there was people around me who didn't know me, but they wanted to, and they were welcoming, and I knew they were struggling with their own stuff. I didn't expect them to understand me, but they were open to getting to know me, where everyone in my life had slowly walked away. And I think that getting that connection with people again is what made me slowly put my eating disorder second, and then third and fourth and fifth. I'm living on my own in Santa Monica in an apartment, and I'm going to school, which is huge for me. I'm taking psychology. I work about 5 days a week, and I keep myself busy because that's really important for me. In my eating disorder, I had no structure for myself, and I let all those thoughts take over. And school and work are very important to me, and in order to keep those things, I have to keep myself in a state where I'm able to perform work and study, and that requires food. So the structure for me really is what keeps my recovery going every single day, is having an expectation of me, having somewhere to go, somewhere to be. And yeah, it makes it really important, and it makes it helpful and easier, and having an expectation of yourself. Definitely that it feels a lot of the time like your eating disorder has 100% control over you, and what you want is out of the picture, and you can't stop it. It's going full force, but you have control over your eating disorder 100%. A little over a year ago, I lost my father to cancer, and everyone was really scared I was going to go back to my eating disorder, but I didn't. And I went through a lot of grief and depression, but I kept pushing forward, with my food, and I kept my weight, and because we have control over this at the end of the day. If we want this horrible, horrible thing out of our life, we all possess that power.